What's up guys, welcome back to Sid's Music, where today I'm going to be taking you through the steps on how to write a piano song. So there's 7 steps. There is the idea, melody workout, filler, roller coaster of spices, blueprints, testing, and boom, the song. So I'm going to take you through each step, talk about how long it took me when I was writing Ocean Breeze to go through each step, some other details in each step, what to add, what makes maybe for a beginner style, maybe for a little bit more experienced, and yeah, so let's get into it. So the first step in writing any good song is, well, the idea. The idea of the song can come from anything. For me, Ocean Breeze started with a small melody I wrote when I was sitting at the piano. It goes like this. I really enjoyed this melody and decided to make a whole song based on this. Another way that you can get an idea is pulling inspiration from other songs, places, or even memories. If you want to write a happy song about a birthday party you were at one time, or maybe you want to write a sad song about the time your cat died, anything that you can think of can technically be inspiration. So once you get that inspiration, start working on that melody. Step 2 is the melody workout. So now that you have your inspiration, your idea, or maybe even your small melody, it's time to write the rest of it. So to start, you want to decide, is it in the right hand or is it in the left hand? Does it switch between the two, which can sometimes be a little bit tricky? Or is it a short melody or is it a long melody that takes a 4-minute song to get through? It's all up to you. For me, I sat at the piano for about 1 to 2 weeks writing the melody for Ocean Breeze. Now granted, I didn't just sit at the piano for 24 hours a day, but taking the time out a day to sit down, decide what I want my song to sound like, and go with that. So once you have your full melody wrote, it is time to go to the filler. Step 3, the filler. Now this step has 2 different parts, one for a little bit more beginner and more advanced, but both still very necessary in writing a song. Now I'm not sure that filler is really the correct musical term to describe what we're about to add to the melody. We're about to add bass, left hand, some harmonies within the chords to really make your melody sound good. So using this as a quote-unquote filler step really helps me visualize what I'm doing to my song. So once you have your melody, it's time to start on part 1. Part 1 is adding just your basic chords to your melody. So what you're going to want to do first is find your key signature. This is the most important step right now in writing the song. It helps you visualize what limits that you can stay in, what chords you can stay in, what flats, sharps, what is going to work best to sound good with your already existing melody. Now the key signature can switch during the song, but usually that melody that you wrote usually stays in that same kind of parameter of key signature. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to take a section of your melody and add a block of chords to it. For example, the first part of Ocean Breeze, and I'm going to add the block of chord that I think that sounds good within the key signature of Ocean Breeze. So there's one chord, and I felt like it needed a little bit more, so I decided to add one more chord into the next part of the melody. And that's what you do. Go step by step, measure by measure of the melody in your head and just add a block of chord to it. Then we'll get into part 2. So part 2 of the filler step is to add some harmonies to your melody. So once you have your left hand chords set aside, we're going to put them on the side right now. We're going to really focus on that melody and maybe adding a little bit of fullness to what you already have. So for example, you can add in thirds, fifths, fourths, maybe some moving parts while the upper part of the melody stays still. So for example, on Ocean Breeze, the first part of the melody can be a little boring sometimes. So something that I could do to add in a filler is add a bottom note throughout those notes. So, and it just makes your melody sound a little bit better. If you don't want to do this, that's totally okay. If you're still a beginner and that seems really complicated to you, just stick with your simple melody. Again, this is your song, so it can sound however you want. So now that we've finished step 3, the filler, it's time to move on to step 4, the roller coaster of spices. Again, I'm not sure if this is really the correct music term, but it really helps me visualize what I'm adding to the song. So first, think of a roller coaster. What do you think of first? Maybe the cars? How they're all separated out? Or are they one giant car? Right, usually they're separated out into little cars connected. So as of right now, if we compare that to our song, we have blocks of chords, right? Something that can help spice up your song a little bit, make it sound a little bit better, is to break apart those chords. So for example, something that you could do is break it into a 1 and then the 3/5 together. So, or if you want to, you could break them all apart. So the next thing that you can do if you really want to spread them apart is to go tonic, 5th, tonic again. So all of these are different ways to break apart your chords and kind of separate those chords from just being block after block after block. So the next thing that you can do is dynamics. A roller coaster doesn't just stay flat the whole time. It goes up and down. Just like dynamics are going to add kind of a high and low feel to your song. Loud, soft, loud, soft. So for example, if you have a really exciting, really energetic part in the song, you might want that part to be loud. If you kind of had a slower, sadder, more depressed part of the song, you might want to quiet down a little bit. It's, again, all up to you and how you want your song to sound. For example, in Ocean Breeze, I start off pretty mezzo forte, mezzo piano area, and then I kind of get really loud, and then I drop it down to really soft. I add a couple crescendos, couple decrescendos, getting loud really fast and then getting soft really fast. It all is going to depend on what you want your song to sound like. So now our roller coaster is kind of spread apart. It's going up and down. It needs one more thing. It needs tempo changes. A roller coaster that just goes one speed the entire time, kind of boring in my opinion. So if you want to add just a little bit more spice to your song, you can change the tempo. So again, if you're on that loud part and you want it to be energetic, maybe you bump up the tempo a little bit. You're back down to that softer part and you just slow it down a little bit more. Again, all depends up to you and what you want your song to sound like, but adding dynamics, adding the breaking up the chords, and adding some tempo changes can really spice up your song, enhance the melody, make your song that much better. Once you finish step 4, the coaster of spices, it's time to move on to step 5, the blueprints. You've officially created a song, you've wrote a melody, you've worked on the filler, and you've added a little bit of spice to it. Now it's time to actually write the song. So there are 2 different ways you can write the song. Number 1 is going to be old-fashioned paper and pencil. You're going to find some staff music, write it down. What I suggest though is to do step the other way, which is going to be finding a computer system to write it on. So I use MuseScore. It's free, you can download it, and it's really, really easy to use. So now that you've picked either old-fashioned or computer, it's time to, again, start writing it. There's 2 things you need to know. You need to know the key signature, which you should already know from the filler, and then you need to know the time signature, which that can be a little bit tricky, so it might take you a few times of playing it through and trying to count out in your head to see if it's like 4/4 time or 3/4 time. So once you figure out what the key signature is and the time signature, now comes just a lot of trial and error. It took me about a month and a half to sit down and write Ocean Breeze because I sat with my computer and just played it and added a few notes, played it, added a few notes, played it, added a few notes. What I suggest doing is probably writing the melody first, then adding in the filler as you're writing, just like we wrote it in whenever we were writing the song, same way onto the computer system. So then, after that, it's time for step 6. Step 6 is testing. It's time to take your paper copy or your computer copy and give it to someone else, whether that be a fellow music student, a piano teacher of some sort. Give it to them and have them run through it. Make sure some of the notes are right, the timing's correct, make sure you didn't add something goofy in. Another thing that I like to do as part of the testing process is playing it for other people. So I would sit down with my music and I would read the music and play it for my family, my friends, my other music students who maybe don't know how to play piano. With this, I got to hear their reactions, their thoughts. Maybe I wanted a certain section of the song to feel sad. I can then ask them, like, what did you feel in this part? What did you feel in this part? And then you can tweak from there, or you can just see if they like it or not. So after that, it's time for step 7. Step 7, boom, you got a song. Now that you've tested it, you've ran through, got all the kinks out, it's time to really put it out there. There's a few different ways to get your song out there, try to get it. You can contact music studios. Another big thing is posting it on YouTube. If you're in college, you can talk to the music professors and see if they can help you, see what they have, what connections they have. And then the final way is start a social media. We're in a day of age where social media is probably the biggest platform you're going to be able to put yourself out there on. So get your music, put it out to people, keep playing it over and over again, play sections, show people what you've done, and then keep writing. And that's it. Now you know how to write a piano song. If you have any questions, comments, or need some help with I can test your song or help you try to find some people out there, let me know. Put them in the comments down below, and we'll see you next time.